you.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Ordinary Council meeting for May 2026. Joined this evening by General Manager Ross, Director of Corporate Services Rule, and Director of Roads and Engineering Gunn. And welcome to our gallery. Could I ask the General Manager to please make announcements regarding the live streaming of this evening's meeting?
Mayor, the meeting is being live streamed and or recorded for on-demand viewing by Council's website. Attendance at the meeting is to be taken as a consent by a person to their image and or voice being webcast. All speakers should refrain from making defamatory comments or releasing personal information about another individual without their consent. Council accepts no liability for any damage that may result from defamatory comments by persons attending meetings. All liability will rest with the individual who made the comments. The meeting must not be recorded by others without the written consent of Council in accordance with Council's Code of Meeting Practice. Councillors and staff are obligated to declare conflicts of interest as required under the Local Government Act 1993 and Council's adopted Code of Conduct. Councillors are reminded of their oath of office whereby they have declared and affirmed that they will undertake the duties of the office of Councillor in the best interest of the people of Wentworth Shire and Wentworth Shire Council, and they will faithfully and impartially carry out the functions, powers, authorities and discretions vested in them under the Local Government Act 1993 or any other act to the best of their ability and judgment.
Thank you, General Manager. Those willing and able, could you please stand for the prayer? Councillors, let us in silence reflect upon our responsibilities to the community which we represent and to all future generations, and faithfully and impartially carry out the functions, powers, authorities and discretions vested in us to the best of our skill and judgment. Thank you. Please be seated. Are there any apologies? No, there are not. We have Councillor Weeding not present this evening. He has an approved leave of absence. Are there any applications for leave of absence? Councillor Beaumont.
Yes, please. Mr Mayor, I'd like to request leave of absence from the 6th of June to the 9th of July 2026.
Thank you. Are there any further? Could I have a mover for that, please? Thank you, Councillor Rodder. Seconded, Councillor Armstrong. All those in favour? Thank you. That's carried. Are there any disclosures of interest? Councillor Nichols.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I have a insignificant non-pecuniary interest in 9.9. I'm a life member of the bowling club, and I believe the proposed works will benefit any bowler who may choose to take part in social competition activities.
Thank you. Councillor Beaumont.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Yes, in relation to item 9.8, I'll just have a brief statement. So in the interest of transparency and full disclosure, I advise my role as a board member of the Wentworth District Community Medical Charity. Item 9.8 being the operational plan refers specifically to the Wentworth District Community Medical Charity request for financial assistance within the 26-27 budget, and the subsequent advice of no provision within that 26-27 budget plan. I believe a part of the discussion decision making on the agenda item may compromise my position on both as councillor or a member of the Wentworth District Community Medical Centre. So, having said that, my declaration is for a non-pecuniary, less than significant conflict of interest, and I will be guided by the Mayor in relation to whether I need to leave the chamber if discussion comes up around that.
Thanks, Councillor Beaumont. I can't guide you on that, but we can accept your declaration of interest. Are there any further? All right, thank you very much. Those are noted. We'll move on to item 5, confirmation of the minutes. Do I have a mover, please? Councillor Rodder, seconded Councillor Evans. Any discussion? All those in favour of accepting the minutes? Thank you. That is carried. Move on to item 6, outstanding Matters report. Could I have a mover, please? Councillor Crisp, seconded Councillor Starrick. Anyone wish to speak to this report? Councillor Bowman.
If I may,
Question.
I guess the General Manager, I was wondering, could we have the recognition of Brian and Helen Kroger listed for some outstanding action on that particular report?
It was subject to the notice of motion previously, and as you and I are aware, it'll be finalised in the not too distant future. Happy enough for it to be on there, but hopefully before the next month we'll probably have recognition of the plaque to be sorted. So happy either way.
Thank you. Any further? Those in favour, please. Thank you. That is carried. I move item 7.1, 9mil report. Seconder. Thank you, Councillor Potter. Are there any questions? Actually, I move it with a couple of corrections and apologies. Ebony, I didn't provide the corrections to you. So I did not attend the rural imaging screening truck, although that visit did go well by the other parties that visited. I did not attend the Pulse Sunraysia performance. I did not attend the Country Mayors Association meeting in Sydney last week, and I did not attend the MDA Region 4 online meeting yesterday, but thank you, Councillor Evans, for attending that. No doubt it was very topical with the recent submissions of the
Yes.
into the MDA review. Thank you. Are there any questions?
Would you like to speak to the meeting La Trobe University Heart Health Research Project, Mr. Mayor?
I certainly would. Yes, that was a great meeting initiated by Katrina Umbach. As most of us would know, she's been a community advocate in the space of heart health for a number of years, and what started off as a pilot project funded to La Trobe has turned into a full clinical trial, which is really great news for our community. So a nationally significant trial, which will be looking for participants across our region, including the Wentworth Shire. And so the meeting there was around council's willingness to help spread the word and share the socials and the different promotions to ensure that we get a good cross-section of participants from those aged 49 to 79, I think was the age range roughly.
There's some eligibility criteria from my recollection.
Yeah, so you'll no doubt see a number of billboards and different print, social and other media promoting that. So yeah, really take my hat off and a great credit to Katrina for continuing her advocacy in this space. Councillor Crisp.
Question, if I may, to Councillor Evans regarding the MDBA. Council are part of the Ramjo submission on the basin plan, and we're supporting that. The MD Murray-Darling Basin MDA
Association
will also prepare a submission. Is there any apparent conflicts? Because I'd like us to be able to support both of those submissions, but also don't want us to get caught out if there's a hot spot in there.
Anomalies in there, yeah. I think there's a fair bit to see in that space yet. We will need to probably look at the submissions more closely now that it's out there. And my feeling is that we probably need to have a look at the submissions as a whole, both with MDBA and also MDA, just to see that we're on the same page, I guess.
Yeah. Thank you for that. When do you think the MDBA will have their submission ready?
I couldn't say, but there wasn't really a lot of resolve in that meeting in terms of
So submissions have been lodged.
Oh, the submissions have been lodged, yes.
Yes, submissions have been lodged. There'll be an interim report come out later in the year.
So
You might be more familiar with
Yes.
that.
Yeah, I haven't got that date with me, but yes, it will be later in the year.
but the submissions are in. You're comfortable with both in your scanning, so that's
Yes, yeah.
that's all. That's
So
a surprise.
There's a fair bit of study to pick up the pieces there and make sure we're on the same page. But I think there's a fair bit of activity happening.
The chair, from my knowledge and looking at it, Councillor Hickey from Broken Hill, his intent was to pick up on any of the hot button issues identified by different groups, so some industry, some others, dealing where it dealt specifically with the Southern Connected Basin. Of
Yes. There were some discussions, particularly regarding pulling Menindee and in the connected river, the Darling and some of the weir issues were topics on the day. So certainly Wilcannia Weir was a topic of the discussions. So there's a lot happening.
That's good. And speaking of weirs, it was a very interesting meeting with Gold Murray Water, actually. Ken and I attended with regards to planning for the replacement of the Mildura Weir in Lock 11. And the consultation that they're undertaking. In the discussion, we sort of all agreed that the weir pool is the lifeblood of the region, and it's something that it's a piece of infrastructure we just assumed to be there, but coming up to its 100th anniversary, it's very timely that they're starting to put forward options of where that replacement location might sit, and there'll be a lot more community consultation undertaken. Councillor Nichols.
Mr Mayor, probably should be noted that I turned up here for that meeting, and before the meeting started I was on board and able to speak to various people across the region. As soon as it started, within 2 minutes of Showery starting to speak, I dropped out. So I sat here for about, pushed a few buttons, then looking in front of me, nothing happened. So I dropped out and I just left. There's no sense me sitting here not hearing anything. I could see people going, smiling. That didn't do anything for me, so I...
That was in this room, Councillor Nichols?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so...
I'm sorry about that.
No, that's okay. It's just, I actually at one time put a piece of paper up with a message on it, but nobody could see it. So, thank you. So,
The perils of Zooms.
the peril of electronics.
Thank you. Anything further? No, I'll just before we vote on that, I'll just mention the FOZO industry for Mill Night went really well, and Councillor Crisp was there, Councillor Beaumont was there, and I think it's fair to say that it got a very positive response from industry participants around the region. So we hope that continues and that plenty of people come and visit. Okay, I'll put that report. Those in favour? Thank you. That is carried. We have a report from item 8.1, the Heritage and History Advisory Committee. Someone would like to move that? Councillor Starrick.
I'd like to move an amendment.
Better move the motion first.
Okay.
Well, actually, the committee recommends, so you can move a motion. Nothing's been moved or seconded yet. Councillor Starrick.
That the council resolves to prepare a plan to prepare the PS Ruby. So just inserting with what's there to prepare a plan.
Prepare a plan. Okay.
To prepare the PS Ruby for static display and cost borne.
Is the motion seconded?
Yeah, it's just grammatical.
Councillor
change.
Yeah.
Okay, so that essentially that's picking up on developer project plan which went to the meeting. Okay, thank you. That's been seconded, and congratulations, by the way, to the History and Heritage Committee. I think that was a very, very productive meeting, and given some really good direction. Would someone like to speak to the motion? Councillor Nichols.
I would actually like something added to that motion as well. I would like the acknowledgement of Tony Bruce Mullins' input to the committee, who passed away. Tony was buried last week, and he was one of the original people that came on, so I don't know whether you could put that on there because I'll talk to what the meeting said. I did ask members to bring forward other items of historical significance for discussion and recognition, because we have numerous items in the Wentworth Shire of historical significance. It was agreed to move forward with Ruby Heritage recognition would be essential to significantly advance boat's ongoing phase future.
Thanks, Councillor Nichols. So we have a motion moved and seconded. What we might do is add a part B, or even just allow you to make a statement, Councillor Nichols, as part of the debate that covers off on your reference to the late Bruce Mullins. So we'll proceed with the debate. Would someone like to speak in favour of the motion?
Definitely.
Councillor Starrick.
Just wanting to clarify the wording around the motion so that we're clear that we need to put together a plan so that we know the direction that we're going in without having the words of the plan. What was it that we were preparing was sort of the question that I was left with. So by preparing a plan, we're going to have works that we're working towards, and there'll be milestones as a part of that. There'll be governance and accountability in terms of the steps that will be taken in that process, because there'll be a plan developed that we can then be accountable to.
Thank you. Would anyone like to speak against the motion?
Just a point. So on page 2, the recommendation in the Heritage and History Advisory Committee meeting, it says develop a project plan with options. So I don't know that that's adequately reflected in the officer recommendation.
Well, what's happened is, just to step you through it, that's the recommendation was from the officer to the committee meeting. The committee have endorsed their resolution, as you can read, and so that's what logically follows over to our meeting to endorse what the committee has resolved, and so that's why those words are printed there. And Councillor Starrick has added in plan to perhaps.
Am I reading it wrong then? It says the committee recommends that council develop a project plan with options.
You need to read the
Voting
resolution. So in the report for the one that went to Heritage and History, there's a recommendation, but under that is the committee resolution. So that's what comes to us.
Isn't that on page 2?
Yeah, in the grey.
Yeah, so if you have a look at what was actually resolved by the committee, it's pretty much everything that you've outlined. It just didn't have the words project plan. So that's where we're at. Thank you. Anyone else wish to speak for the motion? Councillor Evans.
Yeah, I think that's certainly agree with the resolution there that we that a plan, a basic project plan is developed. I think there's some work in this space going ahead, because we need to develop a management team where we'll probably see those that develop as the enthusiasm grows for the project. Now it's alive again, and I think that's going to be important to follow that up with those that get their teeth into it, so to speak, into the project. And at this stage, it is preparing the Ruby for static display. It hasn't. We haven't suggested any more than that at this stage, so we can stage that process through time. So and develop the right people behind that process, and then I think a management team will develop from that in terms of not stepping outside the Heritage and History Advisory Committee, but certainly coming underneath that umbrella, so that it can be well processed through time.
Yeah, thanks, Councillor Evans. Yeah, I think it was a a great outcome, and just by rounding it out a little further with adding the word plan, takes nothing away from the intent of the committee, as best I can tell. Would anyone like to speak against the motion? Further speakers for the motion?
Mr. Mayor, if I may, I'd just like to, as you said, I'd like to congratulate the History and Heritage Committee on this resolution. I think the Ruby is a vital part of Wentworth's history, and I think developing this plan, as they've suggested, to prepare it for state display is a great way to preserve the Ruby for future generations and as a tourist attraction in Wentworth. And I'd just like to commend the committee, and I hope that we can successfully work towards an end that does that.
Thank you, Councillor Armstrong. Councillor Nichols, as I mentioned, I think I'd like to give you opportunity to make a statement about the involvement of the late Bruce Mullins.
Yeah, I'll do that now. Tony Bruce Mullins was one of the original people to put his hand up. He's also a member of numerous other organisations, the history people down here, down the bottom of council, bowling club. So he's reckon I think the showground might be there as well. He's on a lot of committees, and I think the work that he's done in Wentworth in a short time has been remarkable, and I think that he needs to be recognised just for the work that he's done for the community of Wentworth Shire, actually. So so it's just one of those things that I don't think that we need any plaques or those sorts of things, so long as he's recognised in our minutes, and I think that's it.
I think you can take that as read, that there'll be a statement of recognition in the minutes acknowledging what you've said. Thank you. Councillor Beaumont, I think I saw you had indicated you'd like to speak to this.
I've probably got a question just in relation to funding. The resolution is quite clear, but back in, I think it was February, there was a resolution passed that $50,000 be allocated to the Ruby as a project. And assuming that funding won't be fully expended this financial year, will that carry over?
Yeah, there's another budget allowance next year.
Okay, a similar amount. Yep. So there will be ongoing costs, just in terms of tidy up and maintenance. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Thank you. That is carried. We'll move on to item 9.1, please. General Manager's report. Could I have a mover, please? Councillor Rotter, seconded Councillor Beaumont. Are there any questions? I'll put the motion. Councillor Beaumont.
A couple of them, just for notation, 21st of May, Wentworth Shire Interagency Group, I'm likely to be an apology for that meeting. I'll be out of the district, and also the 18th of June I will be out of the country. Same group, but two.
Thanks, Councillor Beaumont. Noted. Councillor Rotter.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So just would like to make mention, last week the Australian Inland Botanic Gardens held a community consultation across the region for what is a very exciting development of a world-class nature play children's garden to be placed at the gardens. The consultation was very well attended and very well received across the community. Look forward to that project.
Excellent. Great community asset. I'll put the motion. Those in favour? Thank you. Carried. Item 9.2, Murray-Darling Association Conference. We have a recommendation. Someone like to move? Or move a recommendation? Councillor Rotter.
Move the recommendation as stated.
So, to nominate...
Council nominates representatives, and I guess once we've moved into the recommendation, then we can sort out who's available. Procedurally not correct.
Happy with that. Seconder, Councillor Starrick. So, given we no longer have briefings, It hasn't been sort of bandied about who might be available to go. Councillor Evans, I'm looking to you initially because you're on the MDA committee. Does that suit you?
At this point, it would be a possibility.
Okay, we typically send 2 representatives. Is anyone else interested in going to Shepparton?
Susan's not going. I took her to Griffith, she's not going. After Griffith, Councillor Nicholas, I'm not sure. Be it at your own risk.
See that?
Yes, I know.
That's
Still
real.
not
Perhaps,
recovered.
perhaps we'll leave it at two people, 2 representatives
Yes.
to be determined.
Councillor Evans and
Councillor Evans +1. Happy with that?
I like the confidence you people have in my health.
I had to pick you up off the road, Councillor.
No, you couldn't get me off the
Oh.
road. You
Those in favour? Thank you, that's carried.
You were strong enough.
Item 9.3, the Community Bank Wentworth and District Skin Cancer Truck Funding Assistance. There's a recommendation. Would someone like to move? Councillor Nichols, thank you. Seconded, Councillor Beaumont.
Only asking now, where does the money going to come from? Do we have sufficient? I mean, we have some money left over, still left from the community side of things. I was just thinking perhaps it might come.
Director Rule.
Depends on when it says late 26, early 27, so that'll have to come out of next year's budget. So probably what I'll do is given if this motion gets supported, I'll include it in the budget for next year as part of the final budget considerations in June.
Thank you. Councillor Rodder.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, to Director Rule. So last year we funded the Australian Skin Cancer Foundation skin check truck. It doesn't say there how much we funded it for. Do you have?
Roughly the same amount. It was about $10,000 or $11,000.
That was just for skin cancer.
Yeah. So this request was roughly about the same time last year, and it was roughly around about the same. I'll have to go back and check it. 33,000 rings a barrel that was shared 3 ways between us and.
So we didn't have to pay for their breast screening truck that was here through New South Wales Breast Screen.
And so it's not in competition either. That we presume New South Wales Health will still send the breast screening truck. This just provides greater access. And I guess for those who
I'm interested in how much we paid for the other one in comparison to this one. That was
look, and it's probably not so much what we paid for the other one this year. It's what they quoted on coming back next year, which was substantially higher. So in actual fact, supporting the local truck now that it's available and up and running is a much better financial proposition.
It's actually in Shepparton at the moment under repair already. Got dropped when it went to gather round in Adelaide.
Machinery, hey? So that's where we're at. I believe the other 2 groups have endorsed the funding for it, but obviously ours is an independent decision. Councillor Beaumont.
So I guess this is a free service to those that register for a visit to the truck. Yep. Is that correct? Yeah.
Yes, that's right.
Okay. Right. And there would be other health services in the area that provide this same sort of service, but I guess that's a fee for visit, as opposed to this, which is a free of charge model.
Yeah, you can sort of see with the numbers that have been presented from last year and the year before, they've been really successful in prompting people to get out and have their skin checks. And I guess something to be worked out down the track, but I have spoken to the Kumi Club about ways that we can make sure in terms of equity of access that there's arrangements in place to ensure that people from Pooncarie can get here, because as we know, they rely on the RFDS clinics. And just as a matter of coincidence, the plane was unable to land at the time that it would have been doing the skin checks this year. So some people who've waited 12 months have missed their opportunity. So we want to make sure that, well, that'll be based here and give really good access to the community here. We want to make sure we don't forget our remote parts as well.
So I guess that raises the question: is there any potential for the truck to say go to Pooncarie?
There would be. It's just wasn't part of the quoted scope for this time. So I think Craig, to his credit, is looking at how perhaps between public transport or other incentives we can help people get here for the day.
I'm just thinking from the point of view of remoteness. Pooncarie residents and outer-lying regions have less ability to get to this sort of service. Travel to Wentworth or Mildura for this sort of service. Local people have a greater ability to get to the services that are already here.
Yeah, I think it'd be something to consider for the next time for sure. Councillor Rodder.
So just in regards to bring the truck to the Wentworth Shire, it says Wentworth, Detton and Wodonga. So will it be visiting all of those sites, or will it just be staying in one spot?
Last year, we went to
Three, I
all
think.
sites last year. For memory.
Sorry, we need to be more positive with it. It's 3, I'm pretty sure.
All right. Anyone else wish to speak to the motion? I put the motion. Those in favour? Thank you. That is carried. Item 1.4, monthly finance report for the month of April. Could I have a mover, please? Councillor Starrick, seconded. Councillor Evans. Are there any questions?
Yes, if I could ask.
Councillor Nichols with a question.
Just under levies, the abandonments, they're increasing in number, and I mean not in number, amount, because we're looking at 25 grand. It seems to be.
I'd have to take that on notice, Councillor. Yeah.
Okay, no, that's fine. It's just I'm very conscious of what the increases in rates. Should say that financial borrowings are occurring at the moment, so it's one of those things that.
You don't want to see it get any bigger.
No, I don't want to see it any larger.
Thank you, and thank you, Director Rule. Anything further? Councillor Armstrong.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Mayor. Just on page 46, just the permissive occupancy council. What's that with regards to? So just under debtors there, the fourth line of debtors.
Yeah, I'd have to take that one on. I can only assume
Just
that
difference. It was
they
just a
no
different
longer-
line that I had normally seen there. So.
whether they no longer require it or whatever. So we've invoiced them not knowing that it's been relinquished or not. But
My just reading the abbreviation of the name on the left-hand side, I think they've been part of the riverfront parcel land where it used to be Crown land with a license over it. I think it's been absorbed into freehold land.
No worries.
Thank you. I'll put the motion. Those in favour? Thank you. That's carried. Item 9.5, the monthly investment report for April. Could I have a mover, please? Councillor Armstrong, seconded Councillor Nichols. Are there any questions? I'll put the motion. Those in favour? Thank you. That is carried. Move to item 9.6, the quarterly budget review. Recommendation there for receiving and noting and approving the required quarterly variations. Councillor Rodder, you are moving.
Moving, receive and approve.
Seconder, please. Councillor Starrick. Are there any questions? Councillor Beaumont.
I'll just have some explanation, please, around page 65 income. 1.4 million increase in capital contributions for the regional schools and recreation funding grant. Explain that to me, please.
yes, that was a type. So I had made an assumption when we prepared last year's budget that we would get that in this financial year. It was received very late last financial year, so it was included as revenue in last financial year, not this financial year. So it's just a timing difference between when I thought we were going to get it and when we actually
So we
received
received the income.
Yeah, so we've received the money.
Received the money,
It's just a
but it's
timing
not-
difference as to when it was actually recorded as revenue. Yeah.
Perfect.
Yep.
It makes me happier about that line item.
Yep.
So is that similar with the next line, so 736,000 decrease? Oh, no, that's interest, sorry.
Yeah, but some of that is also an accounting adjustment as well because of how we've been running our term deposits this year. So there was about $600,000 worth of investment income that we've received this financial year. We actually, as part of the appeal process, noted that as income in last financial year, and then because of how we won't have that same amount this year because we've been putting deposits on a monthly basis this year. Well, that amount will be probably less than $100,000 this year. So again, it's just an accounting procedure and a timing difference between when we actually recognise revenue or when we're required to recognise revenue.
Any further questions? Put the motion. Those in favour? Thank you. That is carried. Item 9.7, Quarterly Operational Plan Progress Report. Could I have a removal, please? Councillor Crisp, seconded Councillor Rodder. Are there any questions?
Okay.
9.7.
Page 104.
Any questions, Councillor Beaumont? No? Okay, I'll put the motion. Those in favour? Thank you. Carried. Item 9.8, the draft 26-27 operational plan. A motion to endorse for public exhibition. Councillor Armstrong.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and I apologise to Ebony. So I would move the recommendation as written with the following changes, and I'll talk to them once we have a seconder. To increase wastewater access charges by 4.2%. To increase raw and filtered water access charges by 4.2%. And to increase water consumption charges by 4.2%.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Armstrong. That is the motion that has been moved. Is there a seconder? Councillor Crisp, thank you. Would you like to speak to your motion?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. As Director Rule has highlighted in the quarterly finance report, and comments he has made in his report regarding our budget for next year. So obviously the rate increase, we request the 3.2% rate peg by IPART, and we do this every year for good financial management for our council going forward. This just gives the council the ability to plan ahead and make sure that our finances are generally in pretty good shape, and we don't get behind the eight ball in terms of our general revenue from rates. The reason I propose that we increase the water charges, those three water charges, by 4.2% instead of the 3.2% that was in the report. In the report that accompanied this recommendation, it highlights that the costs that we as a council are being charged in relation to these services has increased dramatically above the 3.2% that we can increase rates. As water charges are not rates that are not set by IPART, we have the ability to change them by more. I think it's important that we look to a minimal increase on top of the 3.2 in order to have more revenue come into the water funds and the sewerage funds, particularly to cover those increased charges we are paying as a council to deliver these services, and we're able to create a financial buffer to to deliver what we know are required upgrades across our water and sewage networks into the future. 4.2%, I think, honestly, it was just a 1% increase. I didn't do that much analysis on it. But it is below the underlying inflation charge that we're all facing at the moment. And I do understand that all of our residents, no matter their situation, are facing increased cost of living pressures. But we as a council have to act responsibly so that in 3 or 4 years' time, we don't have to come and ask for a special rate variation in any of this space to meet significant holes in our budget. So that is my proposal, and I would convey it to the meeting.
Thank you for your contribution, Councillor Armstrong. Would anyone like to speak against the motion? Councillor Nichols.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I can't, in all good conscience, vote for an increase over and above the recommended, particularly because of the situation currently facing our ratepayers at the moment, particularly our older ratepayers who in some cases make up their minds to pay their rates or eat. And it's just one of those things at this stage that had we previously done some of the work that was necessary to be done, perhaps our water things may not be quite as bad as what they currently are. And we are currently using some of those reserves to cover other items which we've agreed to, and that's fair enough. However, by going up a further percent on what's recommended, sorry, I can't in good conscience vote that way.
Thank you, Councillor Nichols, for your contribution. Would anyone else like to speak for the motion? Councillor Crisp.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm rising to support Councillor Armstrong's amendment to the motion. To set some background, and I think this is well reflected in the comments from Director Rule on page 145, the last two paragraphs there, and over the page on page 146, the top paragraph. And those comments there, I think, are further supported from the federal budget last night, where the Federal Treasury are predicting inflation at 5%, with the caveat that's providing things get resolved quickly in the Middle East. Our energy costs are in excess of 8% per annum in their rising, and the risks that are associated with that. We have been working on integrated water cycle plan, and there's an absence of progress on that. And that was meant to lay out a plan for our future about how we're going to meet our maintenance responsibilities and our ongoing responsibilities for our future residents. The no progress on that is concerning. Add that to the fact that there's no funds to assist from the state government for some time to come available for water and sewer projects. We are on our own. And I think that's what we need to be prudent about, what we will have to do and how we're going to do it. We have some funds in our water and sewer accounts, and we need them. And there are many problems in our systems that need attention and maintenance, but we need to have liquidity to do the best we can. And there are plenty of issues. Councillor Nichols has raised many times the raw water pressure in parts of Wentworth, and it's an ongoing discussion point about the raw water in Gold. I don't go very often. Every time I do, it's raised by whoever I'm there to talk to. So, and we're going to be on our own to resolve that. Now, we do have some resources to do that, and it was only the work on the Baronga Gold filtered water supply from the Gold plant was well reported in last month's projects, where our engineering department have been able to apply their minds and apply a solution and increase the water supply there by about 20%, Jeff, which shows that we do have those skills, but we've got to have the money to back our engineers when we ask them to do what they can and the best we can to maintain our services to our community. And given these dire financial situation we find ourselves in with inflation, and these services are at the front end of inflation, I think we have no choice but to go up by the 1% to secure the future for our residents and the council going forward.
Thank you, Councillor Crisp. Would anyone else like to speak against the motion? Councillor Beaumont.
I'm wondering whether there's room for some compromise. Councillor Armstrong and Councillor Nichols, Councillor Crisp, sorry, have put up compelling arguments. I do agree with the sentiment of Councillor Nichols as well, and we are living in times that everyone is feeling financial constraint, and we have a large population in our shire which are not big income earners, I guess, if I can put it that way. I think there's a lot of families within our shire would be struggling at the moment to make ends meet in terms of their household budget. I'm wondering, but I do acknowledge that I think we should be, wastewater, wastewater, sewage is all fee for service, and we should be looking to absolutely recover that fee for service, and potentially be able to bank some funds for much needed works. But I'm just thinking that a 1% increase at this stage is probably on those various categories of wastewater, raw water, etc., is probably a step too far at this point in time. I guess what I'm leading to is an amendment to the amended motion that we consider a rate increase of 3.7%, which would be a 0.5% increase to try and ease that burden somewhat.
Okay, Councillor Beaumont, you're moving an amendment?
Yes.
Is the amendment seconded? Councillor Rotter? Just wait till we get that up on the screen. So the amendment will change the 4.5 figures to 4.2, sorry, to 3.7%. Councillor Beaumont has moved, Councillor Rotter has seconded, and Councillor Beaumont, I believe you have spoken to your amendment, but obviously give you the opportunity to speak to it.
I think I've probably said all I need to say, so I'll leave that on the table.
Thank you. Anyone wish to speak against the amendment?
Can I ask a question of Mr. Rule?
Question, Councillor Nichols.
Could you estimate what the cost per allotment may be to the ratepayers and our total income from the 0.5% difference? And then it's 1%.
The total income, I could probably, the amount per allotment will differ because it depends on whether they've got a 20 mil pipe or a 25 mil pipe or whatnot. So I can't be as accurate as those ones, but across the quantum, I think in my report I made mention that if it was
Page
at
146.
yeah, if it was at 4%, it'd be roughly 30 odd, 33,
36.8.
yeah, across both funds. So if it went to 4.2%, it'd be probably 40,000, maybe low 40s. If it went back to 3.7, it would probably come back to $32,000 or $33,000.
So just a question, follow up from that, if I may. How much have our inputs increased in that water space in the last 12 months over what was budgeted?
I think it's across not only just those ones, but just across the whole council. The killers are your insurance, they continue to go up. Electricity continues to go up, and those two funds particularly get hit by it because they're our biggest users because of the pump stations and the treatment plants, and just our general overall inputs around fuel, around the chemicals that we have to provide. All of those inputs are all going up by more than what CPI has been going up because there's freight involved in getting them here in most cases. So some of them are going up by more, some of them are going up slightly above CPI, but yeah, they're...
Okay, thank you. Councillor Starrick, you have a question? Or
I have a question, yes, and forgive me if it's already included in the report. What is the forecast result, operating result for water and sewerage for FY27?
Well, essentially, I operate it as a break-even. So whatever cash is remaining from operational expenditure then goes towards capital requirements for the year, and then if we don't use all of that cash during the course of the year for either operational or capital, it just then goes into the restricted reserve for the fund to be used into the future. So there's some years where we've actually spent more than we've taken because we've had to do certain things, and then there's other years where we haven't spent it all. It just depends on the nature of what comes up during the year mainly from a capital perspective. Our operational costs, once we sort of have got a rough idea or have a good idea of what they are, generally track pretty well, except for things like the labour costs can be variable because it depends on how much time's involved on overtime, for example, in relation to like main breaks and things like that you can make it a general allowance to say we'll have X amount per year, but if we get more than those, then that can skew the figures. But the capital can vary from year to year, just depending on what happens with, or you only need what happened this financial year where we had to do the water line across the river here, and there was $730,000 that we hadn't budgeted in this year the sort of water fund will have probably gone down this year because of that.
So the 3.2 puts us in a break-even position. Is that with the 5% increases in materials?
Yep.
So if the increases in materials is more than the 5%, which is certainly tracking in that direction,
it'll still be break-even. It'll just mean we'll have less to spend on capital during the course of the year without dipping into the reserve.
Thank you. Might just make the observation in terms of some previous comments that Councillor Chris made about us being on our own as such. I mean, when it comes to water infrastructure, the Safe and Secure Water Program at a state level, that bucket is empty, pardon the pun. So things that need to be done will not be done, or they won't be funded currently by the state government. At a federal level, the federal Labor government have just handed down a budget which actually reduces the federal assistant grants as a percentage of Commonwealth tax revenue to 0.49%. Last year it was 0.51%. So we're not being helped by either tier of government that sit above us. And so this concept of needing to be fairly prudent with our financial management, to fend for ourselves, to do the things that we need to do, is a very correct statement. And Director Rule has made some pretty insightful comments, including the following. Council's most stable revenue stream is growing more slowly than the costs of delivering services. So we have a couple of levers. One is rates, which is governed by IPART, as we've discussed, and that can't be altered. That is the cap. The fees and charges not subject to the cap. No one wants to be jacking up fees and charges for our community, but as Councillor Armstrong mentioned, we also have a responsibility to consider financial sustainability for the council in the medium term, and that is not going to be helped where our direct costs continue cumulatively to exceed our ability to raise revenue. So I can see the sense in trying to bring the fees and charges into closer alignment with what it's actually costing council, so that we don't continue down a path of financial, less sustainable pathways. So that's my contribution to the matter. Would anyone else like to speak on the amendment?
Just some brief comments, Mr. Mayor.
I might just go to Councillor Evans and then Councillor Crisp.
I'd just like to speak for the amendment. I think we are at a burdensome time, and I think that reflects pretty well with everyone these days. I think it's we, as a council, we certainly have to attempt to build a financial stability, but also recognising that the people that are paying that money back in are really struggling, and we are in a tough time, so I think we're going to have to wear some of that toughness too, and if it means coming off that our aspirational level of increase, which would obviously certainly assist in that, we may just have to pull back a bit in some areas and say, well, this is, I'm not sure that we're going to increase revenue by simply putting the cost up to the public. I think there may be a reversing effect to a certain degree. So that's my view of how people will see this. It'll be a negative effect, and then that will perhaps induce some negative feeling in the community, which then could reflect on the actual take of that increase. That's just a thought.
Thanks, Councillor Evans, and I'll go to Councillor Crisp.
In speaking against the amendment, I remind councillors of an old saying of a stitch in time saves 9, and that when reflecting too on what Councillor Armstrong said about having to do special rate variations, and to my surprise, having read a little and hearing in Sydney, a large number of councils across the state are going to special rate variations to cover some of their costs because they haven't been able to keep up. So it's just a mindful thought that particularly when you look at the 2 paragraphs above the cash flow heading on page 146, where our Director of Finance is warning us that there are flow-on consequential financial effects to this, which I guess it's part of that old saying of never underestimate the power of compound interest. But this is the reverse of that, that also your deficits can compound over time as well. So I know it's difficult times, and this is a difficult decision, but it's one I think we should make.
Thanks, Councillor Crisp. Would you like to sum up?
Oh yeah, look, I'll just come
Councillor
back
Barnett.
to my original comments. We are considering a 0.5% increase over what has been recommended in the operational plan, so it is an increase, and I think it does take on board much of the sentiment that's been expressed by Councillor Crisp and Councillor Armstrong. So it is a very real increase. I think we've got to keep in mind our ratepayers' ability to meet the cost of rates overall, and for the 3.2, the I part 3.2% is set. We do have the flexibility to vary the rates on water, raw and filtered water, and etc. And I think a 0.5% variation is probably appropriate at this point in time.
Okay, thank you very much, Councillor Beaumont, and all councillors for participating in the debate. I'll now put the amendment. Those in favour? Those against? The amendment is carried.
It's 4-4.
We have an equality of votes. Sorry, I thought I saw Councillor Weeding's arm go up, and he's not there. So, in equality of vote, I'm required to provide a second and casting vote, and I will, on this occasion, given the spirit of the debate, Notwithstanding, I voted against the amendment. I will cast my vote for the amendment and declare the amendment carried, which will become the motion. And I will now, I don't think we need to speak any further to it. I'll now put the motion. Those in favour? That is carried. Thank you. All right. And apologies to Councillor Weeding. I hope you enjoyed yourself. All right, we're going to move on to item 9.9, requests for financial assistance. And so, Councillor Nichols, you're choosing to...
Sitting too long. I am old, don't pick me up.
You're too heavy, I can't pick you up, Councillor Nichols.
I really like it there.
Right, thank you. Item 9.9, request for financial assistance. Is there a mover? Councillor Crisp. Are you moving in block, or would you like to move them separately?
I'm happy to move them in block.
Thank you. Is that motion seconded? Councillor Armstrong, thank you. Anyone like to speak to the motion? Against the motion?
Sorry, no, Councillor Beaumont.
Councillor Beaumont? Yeah.
I'm not necessarily against the motion, but at least one of these requests does not provide full annual financial report, and the request from the bowling club, you said they received funds in 24-25, and now $3,000 for the shaded area around the bowling rink.
Mm-hmm.
If I read their financial report that they have provided correctly, they have in the vicinity of $260,000 available funds. Is that correct? Yep. So I guess to me it's sort of, we've got a lot of charities and organisations, volunteer organisations around the Shire that do need financial assistance from time to time, and very deserving of financial assistance. I sort of question the need for the bowling club. Given that they've got $260,000 sitting there in reserve funds, whether the request for $3,000 is really necessary and justified.
Thank you, Councillor Beaumont. So you're not proposing an amendment? You're speaking against?
No, look, it's discussion. I think we talk about assisting various bodies within the Shire, volunteer groups, etc. Majority of which are not flush with funds. I won't oppose this, but I just think that we probably need to put some more thought into this whole process of financial assistance going forward, to ensure that those that really are in need are recognised. Those that appear to be flush with funds are not automatically granted.
Thanks, Councillor Beaumont.
Consideration.
You'd like to respond?
I suppose the only comment I have is that neither Ken or I have the delegated authority to make a decision on this. So
I understand that.
So that's hence why it's come to you. So thank you.
And I guess we don't know the purpose of those funds and their prudent financial stewardship. Perhaps they've got to replace greens sometime soon. I'm not sure, but Councillor, don't mention the war. Councillor Starrick.
I just wanted to highlight that there is a difference in the quote and that they're funding the balance of that quote. So they're funding $9,000 themselves,
I
and
think the
they're
total project is $9,000. Yeah,
They say it says that they're funding 9,000.
sorry, you're right. The project is 9,000. They're funding the 6.
yeah, they are making a substantial contribution.
Contribution. Yeah.
I acknowledge that.
All right, thank you. Anyone else have a question or would like to speak for or against the motion? I'll put the motion. Those in favour? Thank you. That is carried.
Freezing in here.
It's hot as buggery when you're not here.
I find it quite comfortable. Rotate a bit like a chicken.
You can put it up a half degree and it might go back to humid.
Sweating.
Welcome back, Councillor Nichols. The wall of history has been completed. All right, we're going to move on to item 9.10, disclosure of interest return. Recommendation there. Thanks, Councillor Armstrong.
As written.
Moved as written. Seconded, Councillor Rotter.
I think I'm supposed to do one too, and I haven't.
You'll put down.
No, haven't.
Okay, we might be able to.
Remind me.
There's no discussion on that. I'll put the motion. Those in favour? Thank you. Carried. Item 9.11, privacy policy. A recommendation for council to adopt the privacy policy. Moved Councillor Nichols, seconded Councillor Rotter. Any discussion? Those in favour? Thank you. Carried. We'll jog along to item 9.12, page 296, access to information policy. Moved Councillor Armstrong, seconded Councillor Beaumont. Any discussion? Those in favour? Thank you. Carried. We have item 9.13, complaint management policy with a recommendation. That's page 302. Moved Councillor Rotter, seconded Councillor Crisp. Thank you. Any discussion? Those in favour? Thank you. Carried. Item 9.14, road safety quarterly report, January to March 2026. Moved Councillor Crisp. Thank you. Seconded Councillor Armstrong. Any questions? Councillor
Just a
Armstrong.
comment, Mr. Mayor. Lots of good feedback from the community around the safe towing workshop. Yeah, lots like from across the Shire. Lots of people I've spoken to in the lead up to it. Since we're very impressed with that, and a lot of the guys with caravans that I know feel better about how they carry themselves now since doing it. So, congratulations to the team for getting that happening.
Yeah, I concur. Barnaby, very proactive employee. So that's really good feedback, John. Councillor Armstrong, my apologies. Any further discussion? Put the motion. Those in favour? Thank you. Carried. Item 9.15, a manufactured home estate in Corbett Avenue, Baronga. Councillor Crisp.
Thank you. Mr. Mayor, I move that this item lies on the table.
Is that motion seconded? Councillor Rotter, thank you. Would you like to speak to the motion?
Just very briefly, I think this is at the request of one of the proponents that council not deal with this at this time, and this is an expedient procedural motion to assist with the withdrawal, assist with this for the proponent.
Thank you, Councillor Crisp. Would anyone like to speak against the motion? Councillor Nichols.
I'd like to ask a question first.
Yes, question.
Is that the only alternate we have?
No, but This follows a request from the proponent, and rather that the general manager isn't able to just remove it from the agenda. So his recommendation is to exercise a procedural motion, which we're doing.
Yep.
General manager, would you like to add to that answer?
No, I think it's been covered off on since the report made its way onto the website and the content and context there of it, and one of the owners or the developers are being absent. The applicant for the entire development has requested that the matter be withdrawn from the council agenda. So it's for council's consideration. Councillor Chris put forward that the request, I can't do it under delegated authority, it was already in the agenda, so it's a procedural matter for council to agree with the request or to deny the request.
In that case, Mr Mayor, I'd like to move that we go with the recommendation.
So we've got a procedural
Got a
motion
procedural motion
to deal
first.
with, but you're speaking against that.
Well, mine would be that we go with the recommendation and refuse.
So, yep, no, that's...
We'll get to that in a minute. We'll deal
so,
with Councillor Chris' point of view.
So in dealing with the procedural motion, you've indicated you're speaking against that. That's fine. Any further speakers on this motion, please?
Sure, Mr Mayor. I'll speak in favour of the recommendation that
Councillor
are
Armstrong.
on the table. As commented just then by the General Manager, the proponents of this application have requested that it just be withdrawn from consideration this time while they go back to relook at it. As it was already in the business papers, the General Manager doesn't have the power to just remove it. It's now public knowledge, and it's for us as a council to consider. But given, I think fairness to the proponents of the development, rather than it be rejected and a whole new application have to be restarted, and any outcome from that, that they have the ability to now work through those steps and come back. I have no doubt that this will probably come back to council for consideration at some future point. But I think in fairness to proponents to have them properly deal with the requests from the staff and around this, I think that dealing with it in this way, procedurally by letting it lay on the table, is the most fair way to that end.
Thanks, Councillor Armstrong. Councillor Beaumont.
Yes, I'd endorse those remarks. I think it gives the applicant time to go away and consider the recommendations and I guess the shortcomings in relation to the DA and come back with the appropriate answers and recommendations.
Thanks, Councillor Beaumont. I'll put the procedural motion. Those in favour? Those against? Thank you. Please record Councillor Nichols' vote against. The motion is carried. Item 9 stays on the table. Okay, item 9.16, use of planning consultants. We have a recommendation. Councillor Rodder, moving as written. Seconder, please. Councillor Armstrong, thank you. Anyone wish to speak to the motion? Councillor Rodder.
In regards to the recommendation, we're in a position whereby to expedite the processing of planning applications, we really don't have a choice. However, I would ask the question of the General Manager and potentially the Director of Finance whether if we were to offer above award wages for that position, whether we would have any more luck in recruiting, because $700,000 is a lot of money to spend on external consultants. With that,
General Manager may have some updates speaking of recruiting.
There's the recruitment question, Mr Mayor, Councillor Rodder, and there's also the payment of the resources or the allocation to date is expedited by insurmountable amount, the amount of applications we've churned through to get rid of the backlog. $700,000 worth of wages, 3 years, whatever it might be, I'd be still sitting on DAs that I've had problems with in the past. So I'm here to request the 200. I'm here to tell you that I'm interviewing for managers' positions next week, but I'm also here to say that the money at the last time I requested this, I was concerned about the amount of money, but I've also no longer have a backlog of DAs. They're actually getting churned out at the right level of days turnaround. So I apologise for the amount of money. It is an exorbitant amount of money, but it wouldn't, $700,000 in wages wouldn't have got the result that it's actually achieved in the turnaround times. But interviewing for managers next week.
So it is pleasing to see that the DA times have significantly reduced.
I haven't got to that one.
I know, but just on the back of that. So that's why I move the recommendation.
Thanks, Councillor Rodder, and yeah, very good question. Any further perspectives? Questions? Put the motion. Those in favour? Thank you. Carried. Item 9.17. Development Application Determination Report for April 2026. Councillor Rodder, I think with your blessing we should see that move. Councillor Crisp is seconding. Would anyone like to speak to this report? I would just like to say it's very pleasing to see the continued improvement in the average days to, in your words, General Manager, churn out the DAs. Particularly pleasing to see some of the house and land stuff be turned out in under a month. That's a good endorsement for our Shire.
Been a long time since it's been at that level. So
Yeah,
considering the internal resourcing level, and, yeah, using external consultants, it's pretty amazing to be honest with you.
No, very, very impressive. Councillor Nichols.
Ask a question of the General Manager. We have 3 significantly high ones there. How many, with that length of time, will we still have any?
Down to 4, I think.
Down to 4?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, there's 4 with an external consultant that have had a long tenure.
That's fine, because I mean the new is good, but something completely more than 12.
There's a couple of long tails, but they're about to be docked.
Hopefully they'll stop them wagging and we'll get them sorted.
Does anybody else have a question? Right, I'll put the Councillor Bowman.
Can I just ask what the thing about those, there's 4 there, as Councillor Nichols has pointed out. What would cause those DAs to take that long to be considered? Complexity of development, or?
No, it's the quality of the development, it's the quality of the application, and the acceptance of certain applicants to adhere to requests for further information. So, application comes forward, level of detail. No, we require further. No, we require further. Procrastination, delay. No, we require further. Procrastination, delay. We require it again. So it just goes on and on and on.
Right, so it's not all attributable to the administration side of things from our end.
I'd be respectfully rude and say it's got nothing to do with the council resources, it's the external people.
Respectfully. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll put the motion. Those in favour? Thank you. Sounds like it's time to move on. What are we up to? Item 9.18, the favourite report, project and works report for May. Councillor Nichols has moved, Councillor Armstrong has seconded, and I'll revert back to Councillor Nichols' question.
On page 430, I'm a little bit disappointed to read the water lagoon vegetation removal. Is there some particular reason? I know we've had rain in some place, stuff growing madly, or we're going to use that for an excuse, or we just haven't got the staff, or we haven't got the equipment, or
Cleaning out the sludge.
yeah. Well, it's
Which one are you reading?
This one here, wastewater lagoon vegetation removal.
So what's the question?
Well, I wanted to know why we didn't have it done. The inspection of all Wentworth water treatment plants by New South Wales Government, as reported, the Wentworth Shire Council needs to better control vegetation growth around the lagoons. It says a contract engagement and take the vegetation monitoring and spray. So, is there a reason that we've let it get to that stage?
Mr. Gunn and I will try and try and talk you through the process of certain cells of water and goes through and then it dries out and then the vegetation grows and then you remove it. Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. The capacity of the evapotranspiration ponds of the sewer system, Kumbungi and other weeds and things. I don't know.
The problem was
Mr. Gunn, if you want to pass a comment.
No, I think you're on the right track. And what has happened, obviously, with the increase in population and the drying out those particular ponds, that ability to dry out and us to easily remove it was not there. So hence
my main concern was another outside organisation, part of New South Wales government, that just told us that was where my problem was, because we don't like Big Brother.
Yeah, no, I agree with that, but it was part of the requirements for their inspection, and they've got to pick up something. So,
Thank you. Good answer. Councillor Rodder, then Councillor Crisp.
In regards to the Transport for New South Wales maintenance, roadside vegetation removal at Walcom. So my recent trip to Euston Rumvale, there's some very youthful looking fresh prickly pear growing on the roadside down there. Is that a Transport for New South Wales issue, or is that something that we deal with? Because I think if we could take some action sooner rather than later, we might save a penny or three later.
What particular?
The other side of Perengi.
Perengi? No, that would be. Would be council's responsibility to act there as part of the RMCC contract that we were doing work for Transport for New South Wales. So I'll take your question on notice and I'll pass that on to our inspection and our road maintenance team to address that.
Thank you. I just wasn't sure what the process was.
Thanks, Councillor Rodder.
Ectoblaster.
Councillor Crisp.
A compliment on the Dearton asbestos removal and demolition. The citizens of Dearton are very pleased at how the entrance of their town now looks. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you. Councillor Beaumont.
Yes. Could I ask Director Gunn about the works that are happening to that small patch of garden between the old Customs House and the public toilet block on Darling Street? There's been excavation and all sorts going on in there over the last day or two. I'm not familiar with that particular part of work, but I'm happy to take your question on notice. As what's going on, seemed to be fairly heavy equipment in there and removal of plants and some trees.
Is it council equipment?
Thank you.
No, I'm not familiar with it, but I'm happy to provide some.
Any further questions? Councillor Evans.
I might just mention the Dearton Houseboat Effluent Disposal Station, the EDS. I believe I have some information that it's pretty close to moving ahead, but might get a little update for the public if we could.
Yeah, sure. So obviously we've just received that environmental factors report's been prepared. We've actually received that, which is one of the key components of proceeding with the project. Obviously, design and the work is well advanced with regards to the project. There's a couple of particular items identified in the environmental factors report. We're just addressing those to tick all the boxes, so we can comply with our requirements to proceed with the build. So happy to provide at the next council meeting a specific update on that particular project, providing a lot more details to focus in on that job.
Thank you. Director Gunn, the natural disaster funding, we've restored some roads to, we've done some safety works, initial works. Does that include Boyle Creek Road?
Boyle Creek Road, we have just this week received the engineer's report and the geotechnical detail. The work staff are just pouring through that at the moment to formalise a works package to proceed with the reinstatement of the road. So yes, it's the residents have been informed of the process, and that obviously we've been delayed a little bit waiting for receival of that report. We've now got that. So our focus will be on the reinstatement and opening of that road in the coming weeks.
So is that contingent on natural disaster funding, or it will happen regardless?
That's happening regardless.
Thank you. And just a couple of timing questions. Footpath installation on Wilbur Road at Golgol. Do you have a rough?
Sorry, the
footpaths at Wilbur Road, Golgol. Do you have I believe that's a confirmed project, but do you know when that's going to happen? In terms of coming.
Not off the top of my head, not in before the end of this financial year. But I'm happy to provide that detail following the meeting.
No worries. And a final one. The acoustic dampening at Pooncarie Hall. Do we have a rough time frame on that one?
I don't have a time frame. I know the procurement process is underway for the acoustic panels.
Yes.
But again, I can confirm the actual timing of the delivery and installation for that following the meeting.
Thank you very much. Are there any further questions for Director Gunn? Councillor Rodder.
In regards to the Pooncarie and Wentworth Camp Kitchens, estimated the works to commence in the next 2 weeks, bearing in mind that the Pooncarie Bikana Gymkhana is to be held weekend after this one. Will that impact on that event?
I think at the timing of writing this report that the 2 weeks should be well before that.
Have we got any works planned to remove the old bar area that was condemned at Pooncarie?
No, not at this stage. We don't have a unanimous consensus from the users for removal of the bar. The bar has, to my knowledge, not been condemned by council's building department.
But it is barricaded off.
Yes,
Yeah.
but it doesn't have. We have no plans or an agreement from all the users. In fact, one of the user groups is adamant in keeping the bar.
So I sit on that user group committee, and I'm not aware of who.
Yes, no, definitely is, and I have. It's been, I think, minuted, and I definitely have it in writing. So that's, and to my knowledge, I haven't had any communication that position has been changed.
So to make that a usable space, then will the barricading be removed?
Yeah, I can follow up with the building maintenance staff with regards to that. Yes.
Somebody wants to use it for the Pooncarie Bikana Gymkhana.
Sure.
It might as well be usable.
So you'll have to check with the user group. Sound like nothing's changed since the last council meeting. Councillor Beaumont.
I can just add to that conversation in relation to that area. It is a pretty sad and sorry looking structure. I think if it is to remain on site, it probably needs some remedial work to smarten it up a bit. And there is also the issue of the electrical wiring running from the new building through I think it goes through the roof from memory to
if I might, always the initial intention was for that structure to be removed and that electrical wiring to be undergrounded. It was put there, I think, in an effort because there was not consensus to remove the structure at the time. That's why that compliant but temporary arrangement for the power supply is where it is. It is always the intention, once the structure, there's a final call as to whether the structure stays or it is removed or it's upgraded, that their then power is put back underground.
Thank you. Alrighty. I'll move the motion. Those in favour? Thank you. Carried. Item 10, notices of motion. There are none. Councillor Crisp.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move that a council adjourns into closed session, the recording of the meeting be suspended, and members of the press and the public be excluded from the closed session, and that access to the correspondence and reports relating to items considered during the course of the closed session be withheld unless declassified by separate resolution.
Is the motion seconded? Councillor Beaumont. Those in favour? Thank you very much. Thank you, press and public.
Mr. Mayor, may we have a short
Thank you. I'll invite the General Manager to report on the outcomes of closed council business.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. During closed council business this evening, deliberation over 3 items of plant to be purchased and or traded in. In the first item, the council accepts the tender from Johnson's Truck and Coach Service for the supply and delivery of a UDCW 25-360 all-equipped 14,000 litre poly tank for the sum of $375,916, including GST. And there's a vehicle to be traded in for the value of $34,000, giving a changeover price of $341,916. In item 12.2, council accepts a tender from Johnson's Truck and Coach Service with the supply and delivery of a Hino 921 for 4,400 WB for the sum of $205,500 and trade of the replacement vehicle to be replaced for $22,000 with a changeover price $183,500 including GST. The final item for consideration tonight was that council accepts a tender from William Adams for the supply of one Caterpillar 140 motor grader as specified for a sum of $731,830 including GST, and accept the trade-in price of $167,200 including GST, giving a changeover price of $564,630 including GST. That concluded the discussion and deliberations in closed council business tonight.
Thank you, General Manager, and indeed that concludes our meeting. And our next meeting is the 24th of June. Thank you very much for your attendance, and I wish everybody a very lovely King's Birthday weekend. Make sure you get out and about and check out the Fergies, commemorating 70 years since the 1956 flood. Thank you.